Hi, everybody. Welcome to Coach Playbook with Paul LaPolice, your home for elite CFL breakdown analysis. Toronto, Saskatchewan, in my prep, I had 7 plays I really thought was excellent offensively that the Riders did. I had 6 that weren't great and they weren't good. I would call those the bad. And then there's 15 uglies. There are 1 of 15 on second and long, so we'll look at those tomorrow. But here is just a couple plays they need to clean up what they're doing. Please follow the page and turn notifications on. That's going to alert you as we're posting new stuff. And please follow on the page. Helps support us. And I'm finished. Leave a comment if you know what this shirt comes from. Penetration in the run game. That's what stops runs. We'll see this first run from the end zone. See what happens to Frankie Hickson. There's a pretty good start to this scheme. I'll pause and show you what they're trying to do. This is what's called a gap scheme. They're going to double here, and they double all the way back to here. Godbear's going to block back on that player. They're going to pull the play side guard, Fry, and I think the tackle's coming also. I assume he is because they pass up the play side linebacker, and I'll explain that. This, the tight end goes all the way back here. So I assume they're bringing 2, and they're going to block the backside tackle on the play side linebacker. So this is the scheme. Let me show you. At the point of attack, they get a good double. They dent this pocket. He's going down. So you've got a crease right there. Now, whether Zach can get this kick-out block, I'm not sure. So where you're trying to run the football is right up in there. But unfortunately, you can see, let's watch Godbear. He has trouble with Ralph Hawley crossing his face and penetrating. And that's the problem. Now it forces the tackle can't get through there. The tailback has to bounce it. And JJ's right there to run it down as the ball gets spilled. So, the upfield action by the defensive line of the Argos hurts them here. Now, the Argos have one of the best run defenses in the Canadian Football League, but that's some of the things that hurt them running the football for the Riders. This next one's right before the half. It's an untimely interception. Benji Franklin makes a great play on the football. And leads to points for the Argos. So I'm sure Trevor would like to have this pass back. Here's the thing I always tell the quarterbacks. As we play this slow motion multiple times, we get the luxury of playing it back. They got to get the snap from center. They got to recognize the defense and throw an accurate ball and do this all. I always say quarterback's one of the toughest positions to play in all sport. But if we can go back to film, slow it down, and give you information you can use. So I think this is what Trevor sees. He sees this safety starting to work to this area of the field. But just understand, when these guys try to play a half field, they still have the range to come over here and make a play on this football, which the safety does. But the biggest thing when you run concepts, if you've got the ability to see the eyes of the defensive back who's your interceptor. And this is what they're running. They're running an out cut and a go. So trying to get a quick first down before they get out. But the thing you're always talking about with the quarterbacks is you have to know who your interceptor is, and that's the corner. So you always say, hey, who's the interceptor on this play? It's the corner. So if he can see in his drop, the drop by Benji Franklin, if you watch Benji, his shoulders are turned at the quarterback and his eyes are at the quarterback. So he's going to sink the whole time because he sees the ball in the air. So he just continues to run with him. There are times when his shoulders are square and he's facing this DB and he's sinking. And if he stays there, he may not have vision. But that's one of the things we always talked about with these DBs. How does this guy turn? How does he come out of this? Does he come out looking at you? Well, he's going to sink the whole time. And Trevor trying to put it in that window, and it's just hard to make that play. Tough throw. This next one, they're really close to a huge play here, Sass, but they Keyshawn Johnson misses the block that should have sprung a huge football play here. All right, they got everything they want. They got man coverage, but he can't recognize that they're rocking and rolling. Let me explain what rock and roll is. So when teams bring receivers across the formation, the field halfback is going to be in a trail position if he chases, or the Sam linebacker. Whoever decides to be the one person who goes across if they're in man coverage. Well, somebody out of these two players has to chase. So they're always going to be leveraged. What does leverage mean? Behind. The next thing that can happen is you can do what's called rock and roll. So as he sees it, he leaves and goes and covers, and one of these two players becomes the free safety. So that's what most teams do. They call it rocking and rolling. So they put these guys on a string. So they want to throw the ball quickly. They want to block with that one. He's going to come in, and he should have seen Mechie. And if he blocks Mechie, look how high the halfback is. So if that block's made right there, he's blocking, he's got it. He's going to be gone, and it's just going to be him on him. But he just doesn't recognize it, and Mechie gets a free run for a gain of 1, what should have been a really big play. So just got to clean up some of these mistakes. Another good run play. This is, staple for the Riders. Inside zone play, downhill run. Trevor Reed just kind of, I understand why. You're trying to help on Ralph Hawley. But as he's trying to push Ralph Hawley, he gets, you can't go too much, because if your shoulders get turned, you can never get up on the linebacker. That's what happens. Fraser Sopik's right there in the hole. All right, to create this negative yardage play or 0-yard gain. You want to help your guard, and you want to get 4 legs on 2 on those down guys, but you got to keep your shoulders square. I'll tell you what, the centers may be asking for guardian caps, because I haven't seen this before. Peter Godbear gets hit in the back of the helmet by a football by Trevor. That's pretty funny. I'm sure not for Trevor or Peter Godbear, but you don't see that happen often in a game. Not much to talk about this. Just I wanted to add that because I thought that was pretty funny. You're going to see an RPO here because they're bringing Sam pressure from the front side. And the blocking's not great. All right, so they miss on the Sam Emulus misses on the blocking. Sean Bain does a really nice job. Schaefer Baker, the ball's a little bit high, throws him off. You got to be deadly accurate on these screens. So Amos and Mechie are running down to create the negative yardage play. So why do you throw this? Watch here. Sam linebacker is going to blitz off the edge. When you run an inside zone play, he has to be accounted for. And it's either with a receiver coming in to block him, or you have routes attached and a quarterback handles him, and that's what they have here. So they run the bubble. All right, it's just a tad high, and you want to catch this in stride and then just circle the defense, because that block should be made, that block should be outside number, and you're trying to force this guy to come all the way here. But Amos kind of forces him to stop his feet. They can run it down, create the negative yardage play. So just, tough when you're not great at the point of attack on the screen passes. This is a great throw and catch. Keyshawn Johnson, Trevor. Trevor had to throw this earlier because of a mistake that was made up front. So that's a spectacular throw with people in his face. So let's kind of go over what's happening here. So I don't know what their signals are. I assume this signals where they're holding 5 hands out is they're going to say, we're blocking these 5 people. So that's, I think, what the protection is, because the tailback left the backfield. So now there's 5 people for 5. But what happens is when you have a blitzer off the edge, this tackle is on what's called a double duty. All right? So he's going to set vertically, but he should always take the first threat of the two, because it's going to take longer for Sopik to come around the edge, okay, than the inside player. So he's got to make sure that he can go, just keep retreating, keeping both of them there, and now you'll block 40, and Sopik has to go around the block of 40. He doesn't, and then Trevor takes that shot. So just, one of the things they got to make sure they clean up is, hey, just understand, leave that one, set vertically. He's going to block him. I'm going to block this one, and I'm going to force Trevor to be wider, and it's going to be harder for him to get to the quarterback than this shot. You always want to protect inside out and pressure. So these are some of the things that the Riders got to clean up this week versus the Bombers.